In the Goonies, some characters are impossible not to love. Others are almost impossible to tolerate. But the most hated character isn't the one you might expect, and the most lovable Goonie has a surprising rival. Released in 1985, The Goonies follows kids in Astoria, Oregon, trying to save their homes from foreclosure. Mikey finds a map leading toward the legendary treasure of One-Eyed Willie. Mikey, Brand, Mouth, Data, Andy, and Stef follow the clues underground, while the Fratelli family races after them. But this isn't a ranking based on screen time alone. We're judging these characters by three things: how easy they are to love, how much they add to the adventure, and how strongly they stay with you. And one character near the top is much harder to hate than you might remember. Troy is the easiest character to put near the bottom. He's popular, confident, and outside the Goonies world. He's also connected to Andy, which puts him against Brand. Troy isn't the movie's main villain. He treats the Goonies like they're beneath him, and his attitude toward Brand makes the rivalry even more personal. He's not dangerous because he's powerful. He's frustrating because he represents the kind of person the Goonies can't stand, and that makes him frustrating without needing much screen time. But Troy is only the beginning, because the next character doesn't just annoy you. She scares you. Mama Fratelli isn't annoying. She's terrifying. She's the leader of the Fratelli family, and she'll do almost anything to get the treasure. But what makes her especially hateful is what happens to Sloth. He's her son, and he's kept chained inside the Fratelli hideout. Then Chunk meets him. At first, Sloth looks like the biggest threat in the room. Then the movie completely flips your expectations. Mama is cruel. Sloth is lonely. That contrast makes Mama easier to hate. Still, there's another character who can test your patience without being a villain. Mouth might be the ultimate love him or hate him Goonie. He's sarcastic, confident, and almost physically incapable of staying quiet. He also has a talent for making every situation worse. Remember when he translates for Rosalita? He's not exactly translating honestly. He's bending the truth because he can't resist, and that's basically Mouth in one scene. He can't stop talking, even when silence would clearly be smarter. But that same Mouth makes him useful when the group needs information or a quick response. You can hate his attitude and still miss him, because some annoying characters disappear from your memory. Mouth doesn't. Stef doesn't have the biggest role in the adventure. What she does have is common sense. Stef reacts to the insanity around her like someone who understands how ridiculous the situation is. She's skeptical, sarcastic, and willing to call the others out. Her friendship with Andy also gives the movie another layer. She doesn't need to dominate the group to matter. Sometimes, she's the one reacting exactly how you would, and that makes her easy to appreciate, even when she isn't driving the adventure. But the next character has a much bigger responsibility. Brand starts the movie as the older brother who wants the Goonies to stop causing trouble. Mikey and the others slip away and begin their treasure hunt. Mikey sees possibility everywhere. Brand sees consequences. That difference gives their relationship real tension. But once the Fratellis catch up with them, Brand's role changes. He stops being the obstacle. He becomes the protector. That's why Brand earns this spot. He isn't always easy to like, but when the group needs him, he shows up. And that's important, because Brand isn't simply the older brother tagging along. He's the person who starts taking responsibility when the adventure becomes genuinely dangerous. Andy is easy to underestimate. She's introduced through her crush on Brand, and sometimes that makes her seem distracted from the adventure. But once the group enters the caves, Andy becomes part of the danger, just like everyone else. Even when the caves scare her, she keeps going. And when she freezes during the piano sequence, Mikey reminds her that Goonies make mistakes, and that makes her easier to root for. Her character isn't built around being fearless. It's built around continuing even when she's clearly uncomfortable. That's something the audience can understand immediately. Data might be the most underrated Goonie. His personality revolves around inventions. Every new gadget feels like it could either save the group or get him into even more trouble. His inventions give the adventure its playful, almost spy movie energy. He's brave enough to enter the caves, He's willing to test his inventions under pressure. And when something goes wrong, he keeps moving. His confidence can be ridiculous. His inventions can be ridiculous. But his courage isn't. That's why he's so easy to root for. And Data's best quality isn't really the gadgets. It's the fact that he believes they can work. Even when everyone else is panicking, Data keeps trying another idea. That makes him more than comic relief. It makes him one of the group's problem solvers. But the next character changes the entire emotional side of the movie. Chunk is chaos in human form. He's clumsy, a compulsive storyteller, and always making trouble. But Chunk has something the others don't. He makes people care about him. His friendship with Sloth becomes one of the movie's biggest emotional surprises. Chunk doesn't care what Sloth looks like. He sees someone who needs a friend. That choice changes everything. Chunk's kindness changes the way we see Sloth. Their friendship becomes one of the movie's sweetest relationships. And that's why Chunk belongs this high. There's also something else that makes Chunk work. He isn't brave in the traditional sense. He's frightened constantly. He panics, he complains, and he makes mistakes. But when Sloth needs him, Chunk doesn't simply run away. That's the moment where his character becomes much more than comic relief. But there's still one character who takes that emotional payoff even further. Sloth is introduced like a monster. Chunk sees a huge, frightening figure chained inside the Fratelli hideout. Then Chunk offers him a baby Ruth, and everything changes. Sloth isn't cruel. He's been isolated and abused by his own family. Chunk is one of the first people to treat him like a friend. That friendship turns one of the movie's scariest characters into one of its sweetest. And when Sloth finally joins the Goonies, his role becomes even more satisfying. He's not simply helping the kids escape. He's standing against the family that imprisoned him. That's why Sloth is so memorable. He starts as something the audience is supposed to fear. Then he becomes someone the audience desperately wants to see win. But he still isn't number one, because the heart of the entire adventure belongs to someone else. Mikey is the character who gives the Goonies its emotional center. He's not the strongest member of the group. He's not the funniest. And he's not the one with the best gadgets. What he has is belief. Mikey believes the treasure can save his home. More importantly, he refuses to give up when the others start doubting the mission. That's what separates Mikey from everyone else. Brand wants to protect Mikey. Mikey keeps pushing forward for the whole group. For Mikey, the treasure means more than money. It could save the homes he and his friends are about to lose. Even when Mikey is scared, he keeps moving. That's why he's number one. Not because he's perfect. Because he refuses to quit. So if we're talking about the characters most likely to divide audiences, the answers become clearer. Mama Fratelli and Troy are the easiest to hate. Mouth is the wild card. And on the other side, Mikey, Sloth, and Chunk are the characters easiest to love. Among the rest, Stef brings common sense. Brand brings protection. Andy brings vulnerability. Data brings imagination. Chunk brings heart. Sloth brings the biggest emotional surprise. And Mikey gives the entire story its purpose. Mikey gives you hope. Mouth gives you chaos. Chunk gives you heart. Sloth gives you the biggest surprise. And Mama Fratelli gives you someone to hate. And that's why the ranking isn't really about perfection. You remember the characters who made you laugh. You remember the ones who drove you crazy. And you remember the ones you desperately wanted to see win. And if you haven't watched our Dirty Dancing breakdown yet, that's the one to watch. Next link is in descriptions. Subscribe if you want more character breakdowns from the movies that defined their era.